There are two steps in the test setup process. 1. Defining the test as in giving a title to the test, and specifying whether it is a test divided into multiple sections and also which sheet design will be used to answer this test. 2. Entering the correct answer key and setting up the scoring scheme for different sections and questions, etc. So here we begin with the define test interface. It is simple. Enter a test name. It is not mandatory to enter a test ID. If you want some specific ID, it's okay to enter, otherwise the system will allocate the next ID in sequence. It is also not mandatory to select a date. By default the system will take current date. The date is only used for convenient ordering in the list. Select the sheet that you want to use. Next we have to specify how many sections the test is divided into. As for example, we have a 30-question class test, and there are 10 questions each in physics, chemistry, and mathematics. So this is how we will do it. It is important to note that this time I have a 30-question combined test, so I have selected a 30-question OMR layout. But maybe the next test is of one subject, physics, with only 10 questions. Then I do not need a separate 10-question layout for that test. I can use the same 30-question layout while I am defining test of only 10 questions. This indicates that the software will heed only to the defined number of questions and ignore the remaining 20 questions of the sheet. This allows you to minimize your inventory by using one OMR template with more number of questions in tests of various lengths. Next we see the columns for cutoff scores. Entering the cutoff scores are again not compulsory. By default cutoff will be set as 0, unless you want to specify. The effect of cutoff scores reflect in the final reports where the candidates scoring below cutoff are indicated with color. Having entered all this, just save the test. A saved test appears in the list on the right. This is all we need to know about the define test interface. We now move on to set answer key, the next step of test setup process, where we will enter the correct answer key for comparison and set up the scoring scheme for different sections and questions. On this interface it is simpler. Just select the test, and enter the key. You can also copy and paste the key from Word or Excel files. So you see how the multiple answers have been entered here. We also see how the answers for the numeric response or integer response questions have been entered. These questions are likely to have more than one answers, which are entered separated by the pipe symbol. Similarly, the matrix matching question also have a different way of entering the answer key. Or else, if you prefer, you can extract the answer key from a correctly filled OMR sheet. How to get values from a filled OMR, we are going to see in the coming steps. Once the key is entered, we will need to set up the scoring criteria and the scoring scheme for the questions. We will see how to create the scoring scheme for the first time when you need them. Once created, these schemes will stay in your library for future use. We have the flexibility to apply different scoring schemes for different questions or different sections of the test. Suppose our sample test, which has different types of questions in different sections, some of which are simple MCQ with single correct choice, some are MCQs with more than one correct choice, and some are numeric or integer response type, and yet other is the matrix matching type question. We will apply our different schemes to these. The setting up of answer key and hence the setup is complete now. You can see a few more buttons here, but to keep our understanding simple, in this video we are confining to our basic process of test evaluation and will not be getting into extra features. The Manage Mapping button opens an interface where you can map your questions to different subject, subtypes or topics. Question linking is used in tests where scoring of one question depends on scoring of the other. For example, question 17 will be evaluated only if question 3 is correct. These type of linked questions are usually asked in the tests where concept learning is being evaluated. Another button that you see is the Option Weights button. On this interface you set different weights or scores for different choices within a question. These type of questions are usually asked in psychometric tests or feedback and survey questionnaires. Scaled Scores interface allows you to enter scoring scales for the tests like SAT, ACT and PSAT, etc. The Shuffle and Copy Test button on the Answer Key Setup interface also allows you to randomly shuffle and create more sets of the same test. We have not showed you these interfaces to avoid confusion, as these steps are not required for most of the tests. Now we move on to the next stage where we will read the scanned images and get our desired results in the next video.